Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Reinhart and I'm here to talk about my project, the Collective Mending Sessions. I am an interdisciplinary artist living and working in Ames, Iowa, USA. I make fiberwork and conduct socially engaged projects around the themes of domestic labor, connection, and care using abandoned textiles. The Collective Mending Sessions is a series of socially engaged workshops with center around collaboratively mending abandoned quilts. This project uses craft as a catalyst for social repair, and the driving question behind this project is how do we mend our communities? In action, these gatherings resemble a quilting circle or a sewing bee, where around 12 people would gather to stitch on a quilt for 2 or 3 hours. I would lead the group in teaching basic mending and basic stitching and sewing repair and care for textiles, and then we would have some centered discussion around sort of the larger metaphors for mending. How can tending and repair translate to a more egalitarian way of working? What knowledge is based in caregiving that could aid in sort of a larger social or communal repair, and this idea of collective memory. And one of the biggest aims of the Collective Mending Sessions is to cultivate care for cloth and community through that meditative process of slow stitching. This project began with the first abandoned quilt, which was mine from my childhood. I loved and abused and used this quilt, and when I went off to college, I told my mother to throw it away. Being wise, she did not, and she gave it back to me in 2017. Since then, I have led over 20 to 30 workshops with 150 participants from around the world who have added their stitches to 3 quilts and have built community and gained powerful insight into looking at repair and looking at damage, and that not only damage in the textiles we're repairing, but damage within ourselves, within our relationships, and within the larger society as a whole. In March of 2020, we were mid-stride in a month of mending sessions every weekend, and I quickly had to pivot in this project. And so instead of gathering around a quilt, I decided I'm going to cut this up and I'm going to mail these bits of quilt to people. So we all signed up, and then we met on Zoom and stitched together during the pandemic. Again, this is Catherine Reinhart, and I am so pleased to share these insights with you. Thank you.
Collective Mending Sessions have given me a new ability to be quiet. They have given me access to stillness and slowing down and paying more attention and being really happy with being quiet and listening to what's going on around me. What I've been learning over the last 6 months with Catherine Reinhart and with these other women is how to really pay more attention to what is actually in front of me, find my way into mending it, and having the confidence that I can make a difference. My confidence in my ability to work with the quilt square and make decisions and improve and adorn and repair has increased, but also my ability to go into my own projects in my community and in my own projects in my art has increased exponentially. And I feel like I've learned something that I've been looking for all of my life. I'm so grateful for this program. It's really changed it's really changed my life, and it's changed how I take on new things and work with my own work. So thank you.
My name is LAURIE Spencer from Osceola, Iowa. I really enjoyed the collective mending session by way of Zoom. It was nice to see the other women and to get to know them through the different breakout sessions. And it was very good to hear what Catherine had to tell us about different mending and history and poems and the way she led our group. At first, when I received my block, I had also received yellow thread, and we were to use only yellow threads. And at first, I didn't think that was too good. But as I went along, um, there were three types of yellow thread: linen, cotton, and silk. I really got to enjoy using them because each one had a different effect on the stitches in the block, and it was kind of exciting to see how the different types of thread would work on the quilt block. Also, because we could Zoom and we did it once a month, so it wasn't too high pressure, but it was something to look forward to during the pandemic time. And I think that really helped. And we also discovered we all have the common bond of stitching, even though we were many different ages and from different backgrounds and also different countries. So I felt that that was very interesting, but we all were bonded together by stitching. I also enjoyed the comments that Catherine brought up about the community of stitching and mending, and instead of throwing something away, how we can uh, give something new life just simply by mending it, even if it was a small mend. Overall, it was a very good experience, and I will miss our sessions, and hopefully we'll be able to pursue it again and maybe in person next time. Thank you very much.
Purpose has always felt so demanding to me, like a quest I alone am destined to complete. I think that's what I was searching for when I signed up. Something to remind me that I'm still needed, even in a pandemic. And yet, the purpose the collective mending sessions gave me showed up differently. It's of no surprise that amidst 2020, all social interactions came to a halt. How thankful am I to these sessions for giving me the opportunity to interact with strangers, a novelty I craved all too much. For these people to also be artists, crafters, for them to be menders, that is a gift all of its own. This may be the only place I've found such an experience, by which I mean a brief resting place with strangers, where mending comes first and fixing comes later, where we owe each other nothing, yet gift each other our intentional attention. My being there felt like purpose enough. I'm always struck by vulnerability and how difficult it is to cultivate, and yet, for some reason, with quilt squares in our hands and many miles in between, genuine vulnerability came so naturally, though I suppose I can only speak for myself. I had no experience with quilting or mending prior to this, and learning something in front of others always leaves me feeling exposed, embarrassed, like, surprise, I'm not perfect at everything yet, which I know seems silly, but I'm not sure if it's in the nature of mending, or maybe it's its ties to maternal care, but I never felt ashamed or like I didn't belong. Everyone was always so encouraging, and the vulnerability of learning no longer felt scary, rather comforting. For stumbling into this, hoping only to feel like I had something to look forward to, what an absolute delight it is to come out the other side feeling mended myself. The collective mending sessions were able to offer me the relief of purpose and surprised me with its tender and gentle healing.
Hi, my name's Julia O'Connell, and I'm based in Coventry in England, and I am Mama Jules Cov, on Instagram. My experience of the Collective Mending Sessions, well, it's been great. And I've enjoyed the comfort of stitching in my own studio space, but also at the same time feeling connected to a global community of makers. I love the fact that I would be stitching at night and everybody else would be stitching in the morning because of the time zones. And I don't know where Ames is in Iowa, though I am trying to learn all of the states. But it was just great to know that I was linking up with other people. I especially enjoyed the fact that Catherine prepared so well for the sessions. She would read a poem at the beginning just to settle everybody. And then she would set a provocation for our Zoom room chats, where we would go off and talk about mending, repair, etc. Sadly, I lost my father-in-law during this period. So even though I couldn't attend a couple of sessions, on those days I still made an effort, though, to get up and stitch and just be with this new community of mine. I love the fact that I've made some new stitching friends and how special that is. It's just great to be part of another community, and wow, one day I'd love it if we could all be in the actual real physical same room together. That would be brilliant. Big thanks and love to Catherine for organising us all. It's been a great experience. Thank you.
I'm Susan Norris from Ames, Iowa, and my Instagram handle is Eccentric Old Woman. I'm here to talk about what the Collective Mending Sessions experience meant to me. The thing that struck me the most throughout this experience, starting in September and ending in March, was the idea of the present moment. I find stitching to be meditative and relaxing and renewing, and to do it with other women and to be able to talk while we're doing it and to share our progress with each other, and to know that the time that we spent together, albeit in a cyber space, would be memorialized, or will be memorialized, when this quilt comes back together and is put on exhibit and travels around to different exhibit spaces. I really thought a lot about how stitching on this quilt was connected to paying attention to really focusing on working on this tiny little piece of fabric. Taught me and reminded me how important it is to pay attention to our problems, to pay attention to ourselves, to pay attention to our families, to our partners, to each other, to people we might not agree with. And the other idea of stitching that struck me is just the power in taking a stitch. I likened it to an act of kindness, a pat on the shoulder, a knowing smile, a paying it forward in the Starbucks line, doing somebody's yard work if they're not feeling well. I mean, those are small things, but just to remember to take little stitches, to take those tiny little present moments to connect us, stitch us together with each other in our families and our communities and our countries and the world. It's a powerful thing, and I look forward to seeing the visible evidence that a group of women got together during the pandemic and paid attention and tended to ourselves by participating, and each other by listening, and I recommend it. It was a very rewarding experience.